today. I'm going to be installing this multifunction steering wheel to my Volkswagen T5.1 Transporter. The steering wheel currently hasn't got any multifunction buttons, and it's also got this rubber steering wheel. We'll be switching it out for this level one. First thing you need to do, make sure the ignition is turned on. Next, you want to disconnect the negative terminal off the battery and move it out the way so it doesn't make a connection when you're touching the airbag. And now we have no power, ignition still turned on. Next, you want to turn the steering wheel about 90 degrees, and at the back, I'll show you on this wheel, you'll see these tabs. If you pull the steering wheel out on the steering wheel adjustment, you get a bit more room. I've got a 90-degree pick on the back of the airbag. You just want to push down both sides, this side and then that side when you spin the wheel around. And as you've seen, the airbag just pulls out, and then you disconnect the wiring loom there. Then to remove the steering wheel, you've got an M12 spline in the middle. With one hand, hold the steering wheel, and with the other hand, pull your breaker bar or your wrench to loosen the M12 spline in the middle of the steering wheel. I was going to say, make sure that this notch is lined up with the notch on the steering column, but as you can see, there isn't one. So I hope this drives straight once I put it back on. We'll soon find out. I'm not going to wire it today, I'll save that for another day, but for today, we'll just put the M12 spline back in. I hate touching airbags, it scares the life out of me, but this is the airbag off the old steering wheel, just one plug as you can see, and this is the airbag wiring loom from the new steering wheel. It's exactly the same wiring loom, but it has this connector on the end for the multifunction buttons to work. So you can actually swap this loom over onto the original airbag, and then once you fitted the wiring, it will work with a bit of coding. So you connect the multifunction plug connector in there and the airbag wiring loom back there. Make sure any of the wires are out of your way before pushing it back, so you're not catching any of the wiring. Once you're happy with the position, just push the airbag and you'll feel it lock into place. Now, my horn won't work when I reconnect the battery because I've not fitted the wiring today. So when I get a chance, I'm going to take the wheel off again and put the two wires in to the control unit. I'll be getting them from Travelling Light. It's a new day now, and I've been driving around with this leather steering wheel on for a while. But today we're going to be wiring the steering wheel. So I've just took the airbag off the leather steering wheel. As I mentioned in the previous video, there's no notch on the steering column for this steering wheel to line up with. I'd say it's about one tooth out, so I'm going to move it round and I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie pen before I take the steering wheel off. Just like that, I've marked the steering column with a Sharpie, so when I put the steering wheel back on, I know where to line the notch up to. Usually they have a notch on the column and the steering wheel, so you know where you're lining it up, but for some reason Volkswagen haven't put a notch on the steering column, so it's an absolute guessing game. Now that's marked up, you can take the steering wheel back off, and then you've got to remove these trims. These are the two wires required. You can get these from Travelling Light for around £10. I'll also attach the Volkswagen part number for this item. And I've bought these tap-in connectors off Amazon. I've never used them before, but I've seen them be used on a lot of wiring modifications where you don't have to cut the wires. You just tap into a live wire, which is what we're going to do today. Next, you need to fit one of the repair wires to pin 9 on the top row. You've got 1, and on the far right you can see the number 14, so there's 14 pin locations on the top of the connector. You want to count across, you've got 7 in the middle, 8, 9 there, the empty one next to the black wire. From the other side, you want to slide it in to pin location 9, just above my thumb there. As you can see, it's coming through, and then just push it all the way through in line with the other pin connectors. These will only go in one way, and this is the orientation that they need to sit. I've just noticed that that pin connector's sitting a bit proud, so I'll sort that out now. With the other wire, the second wire that you need, it's going to pin 10 on the clock spring. The wires from Travelling Light are 2 different colours, so it's quite easy to identify which one you've put in 9, which one you've put in 10. But pin 17 right in the corner there with no connector inside. So I'm going to put the wire from pin 10 on the clock spring to pin 17. I've used the red wire for 10. As you can see, it goes 7, 8, 9 blue, 10 red. And ignition live is pin 15 on the headlight switch on the right of the driver's steering wheel. And this is where I'm going to try these tap-in connectors. This wire on pin 15 is actually bigger than the one here, and these come in sizes, so I'm going to use a bigger tap-in connector with a smaller crimping tool for the pin 9 wire. The horn won't work, or the buttons won't work, until I get the multifunction steering wheel activated, like I said, but I'm happy with that. It's not an easy job. It took me about 2 hours maybe. And whilst we're here inside the van, we've also had another delivery this week. I've got a CarPlay Apple CarPlay radio. I have actually used this radio in my previous Volkswagen T5, and I like the appearance of it. The CarPlay is good, it's wireless, so hopefully it's straightforward to fit. You also need the radio surround for a double DIN, the aerial wiring loom, and the double DIN wiring loom connector. Because this has had a double DIN fitted already, you can see that there's wiring going somewhere. Not sure where it goes to, but I'll have a look now. I'm gonna fit my own wiring anyway, so I know that I've done it right myself. That was a bit of a faff, but I've now got my multifunction steering wheel wired up and my Apple CarPlay radio fitted. Quite impressed with them both, to be fair. The CarPlay radio is spot on. The Apple CarPlay connects almost instantly as soon as you put the ignition on. Really good. The picture's clear. I think it's about a 9-inch screen. Fairly cheap as well. You can get it on Amazon. Then tap-in connectors that I've been using, they've been really easy to use. Just tap into a live wire for the power. I'll show you the Apple CarPlay radio now. As you can see, there's power on my steering wheel, the lights are on, and the Apple CarPlay radio is now working. Power's on with the ignition and off when you turn it off. So that is it for today's video. It's been a bit all over the place because I've dragged it out over a few days. I didn't have to, did I, Frank? But the next video, I don't know. We've got a few more bits to add to the van. I've got some captain seat armrests to add in, so I need to take the seat out, drill into the seat base, take the leather off, and I've got some black rear badges, just some other little bits, to be fair. So I'll do that in the next video, and hopefully we'll be able to take Frank away over the weekend when the weather's a bit nicer. Remember to like, follow and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.